Welcome to another JPS VIA iOS user tutorial. In this 5th episode of 6, we'll discuss location-based services. Location-based services allows VIA users to access location tracking and mapping services of other VIA members that are contained in one's contacts list. These services are available on a continuous basis prior to and during PTT calls. Optional historical tracking gathers location data which can be later used during training and after-action purposes. The location-based feature is a VIA option and may not be available in some systems, but can always be added later. If the mapping option is enabled, the map icon will be visible in the header of the VIA app. When location-based services are enabled, the VIA Enterprise Administrator can control whether the VIA user can turn on or turn off the location services on any user's device. If the VIA Enterprise Administrator has not restricted the user's ability to enable or disable their own location tracking capabilities, iOS users can turn on or turn off the native Apple location services from the settings menu of their iPhone or iPad. Turning off the native location services of the device will diminish other important features of VIA. Instead, in our last episode, we'll discuss how we can better manage location-based services directly from the VIA app without turning off the native iOS location services of your smart device. This includes disabling mapping functions when off-duty. Historical location data is accessible from the VIA web portal by your designated VIA administrator only. Note that historical breadcrumb data is not accessible from VIA users' smart devices in the field. The administrator can also control the rate at which positional data is gathered. Pre-call location data is gathered every 4 minutes, and when engaged in a PTT call, location acquisition rate increases to 2 seconds. These rates can be adjusted by the VIA administrator from within the web portal. Even in surveillance mode, which we'll talk about in a later episode, locational data can be gathered at a high rate during both pre-call as well as in-call states. By tapping on the map icon at the top of the VIA app, you'll be able to view your own pre-call location as well as the location of other members from your contacts list. Again, these locations are updated every 4 minutes. Tap the target icon and your location, signified by the blue dot, will be placed into tracking mode, effectively centering your location as your position changes. And naturally, you'll be able to use the native iOS gestures to reposition the map as well as to zoom in and out. You can also double tap on the map view to zoom into a specific location. The zoom can also be locked by tapping on the locked magnifying glass. Additionally, you can tap on the map menu to select between the standard, satellite, as well as a hybrid map view. Other members in your contacts list can be displayed as green, red, or purple location pins that signify their status. The green pin indicates that the user is available for PTT calls. The red pin signifies that the user is currently engaged in another PTT call or has placed their VIA app into Do Not Disturb mode. In some cases, if the silence switch of the phone is mapped to the VIA's Do Not Disturb mode, the location will also turn red. We'll discuss Do Not Disturb mode in episode 6. And finally, the purple pin signifies that you and the other user is currently in an active PTT call. The location pin will turn purple when the remote user presses their PTT button. To establish a PTT call from your iPhone, tap directly on another user's location pin. You'll be able to identify the VIA user, and in many cases, the street address will be displayed. Once the user's name appears in the bubble, you can immediately press and hold the PTT button to establish the call with that specific user. While engaged in the call, you can toggle between the map view and the call list view by tapping on the associated icon in the header. The remote user's location pin will be purple while he presses his push-to-talk button. You should see the location pin toggle between purple and green during the course of active PTT calls. Note, once you're engaged with an active call with another VIA user, location information will begin refreshing every 2 seconds. Tapping on the eye in the bubble will display information about that user, which may include the telephone number and the user's actual location, and in most cases the address may be disclosed. Additional map actions will also provide the opportunity to send an immediate alert call. We discussed alert calls in episode 2. Additionally, secure messages can be sent from the map actions panel. Secure messaging functions will be identical to what we learned in episode 4. Another function within the Map Actions panel is the ability to be navigated to a user's location by leveraging the native GPS mapping functions of the iPhone or iPad. By tapping on Navigate to User, Apple Maps will automatically provide navigational information with respect to the remote user's location. If there are multiple VIA users within the map view of the iPhone and no single user is highlighted, an ad hoc group PTT call can be established with those users within the map view. Simply press the PTT button to establish the ad hoc call. Once the ad hoc group call is active, members of the group can continue sharing communications so long as there is PTT activity. Remember in episode 2 where we select several individuals from the contacts list to be part of an ad hoc group, creating an ad hoc group call from the map view is very similar. And also remember, after 30 seconds of no activity, the ad hoc call will be terminated. If you zoom out, you'll notice groups of VIA users indicated by blue dots with the number of VIA users that are contained in what we refer to as group clusters. If there's one or more group clusters within the map view, you can simply press the PTT button on the iPhone to establish an ad hoc PTT call with all members within those group clusters. It's important to understand that it's not possible to establish a PTT call with a single group cluster from the map view that contains multiple group clusters. You will need to zoom in to a single group cluster of interest to communicate only with that specific group. Remember, PTT calls with a group cluster is treated just like an ad hoc PTT call. The call will be terminated after 30 seconds of no activity. If there are multiple group clusters within the map view, an alternative is to tap on the cluster and then tap on I to disclose the list of VIA users within that cluster. In the Map Actions panel, you can send an ad hoc secure message to all members of the group cluster. Remember, we talked about sending and receiving and managing secure messages in episode 5. Navigating to the group cluster using the iPhone or iPad integrated navigation features is also possible from the Map Actions panel. The resulting navigational data will be based upon the closest contact's location. Simply tap on Navigate to Cluster, and Apple Maps will generate turn-by-turn directions. Additionally, you can hide or decluster the group in the map view. Declustering will disclose the individual pin locations of every user within that originating cluster. From the map view, you can select your map format, as well as have the ability to tailor the size of the group cluster by adjusting the cluster threshold. The higher the cluster threshold, the larger geographical area VIA will consolidate contacts within a single group cluster, similar to zooming outward. Remember, if no individual location pin or cluster is highlighted, all members visible on that map will receive subsequent PTT calls. Finally, the optional location-based service called historical tracking, when enabled, will gather GPS coordinates, speed, and direction of selected VIA users. Breadcrumbs can be logged at an administratively adjusted rate between 30 seconds and 4.5 minutes. Historical tracking is strictly an administrative function and cannot be enabled or disabled by the VIA user in the field. Data is only available from the VIA admin web portal and can be downloaded in the form of a CSV file for later analysis. The VIA user in the field will not need to set up their smart devices for historical tracking. However, the location services of the iOS device must be turned on. So this completes another VIA iOS user tutorial. If you would like to learn more about JPS VIA Push-to-Talk-over-Cellular application, please give us a call or visit us at JPS